Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Alex. I'm 20 years old and clinically diagnosed with ASPD, or Antisocial Personality Disorder. My diagnosis was given to me back in high school in my junior year. It was pretty hard making friends, or at least keeping them. You see, when I try to make friends, I usually only go into a relationship because of one thing: to get something in return. You could call it manipulating or deceiving people, but I don't see it that way. I've had many therapists and psychiatrists try to help me or figure out what's wrong with me in the past, but I would just feed them the information that they want to hear. It's pretty simple. Give them all the stuff they need to write down on their little piece of paper, and it is music to their ears. Besides that, let's get to the story. Now, you see, the two key people back in high school were Mike and Connor, and they were it. They had the girls, the popularity, their friends. They both were the biggest athletes in the entire school. This is important because I wanted that, but I couldn't have it. And call it jealousy or whatever, but who wouldn't want people to look up at you and have their names written in the daily paper? High school was tough for me though. I never had many friends, or any real ones at least. I was known as the weird kid, but whatever, right? Everyone says high school is tough for everyone. I believe it. Life gets back at people who deserve it though. Now, Mike was the quarterback of the football team, and he knew everyone and everyone knew him. I one day sent him a message on Snapchat and said, "Hey Mike, I know you don't know me, but I think you're a cool guy." And then he replied with, "Who are you? What you want, dickhead?" I told him, "Nothing much, man. Just thought that we could be friends or something. We're in the same Spanish class." He said, "Oh, cool, you're that kid that sits in the back, right?" I said, "Yeah, what you doing?" He then said, "Not much, man. Listen, I got a party next weekend with a free crib if you're trying to come." I then told him that I would let him know. This was perfect because I knew exactly what I would do. I planned on seeing Connor there with his girlfriend Liz. That was important because I hated seeing the way Connor would treat her. He would only use her, and he never really respected her. I knew how I would fix that though, and it would be at the party. Well, I got to the party and there were at least 50 kids there. I saw a couple of familiar faces, but I couldn't care at all. I was there for one thing and one thing only: to ruin the relationship. Call me bad, but he was way worse than me. I once saw Liz coming to school with a bruise on her face, and I knew that it was from him. I finally saw them out back near the pool. I had a plan. I would text Connor's phone from a different number, making it look like it was some other chick texting him, and Liz would be right there to see it. I went outside and he was drinking, probably already drunk. I could see them from across the pool, and I haven't seen Mike yet. I was about to text him when Mike came up and tapped me on the shoulder with 2 drinks in his hands. He said, "Yo, Alex, you came." I laughed awkwardly and said, "Yeah, man, I wouldn't miss it." He said, "You want a drink?" Gesturing the second cup to me. I took it and said, "Hey, thanks, man." He said, "I'll see you around. There's more beer in the kitchen." He walked away and I now pulled up my phone. I went onto the app which I would text him from and texted, "Hey Connor, I had a really good night with you last night," with a winky emoji too. I then sent it, waiting for Liz to look over his shoulder. She did, and she read the message. They started to argue and Liz poured his beer all over his face. My plan was working just right. I then saw Liz walk inside in a rush. I pretended to bump into her and said, "Oh, my fault, I didn't see you there." She laughed and said, "Oh my god, it's you, Alex." I then laughed as well and said, "You good?" And she replied with, "No, actually, I just found out that Connor was cheating on me with some other girl." I said, "Dang, that blows. You want to ride home?" She said, "No, I'm good. I'll just have Grace drive me home." I proceeded with, You sure? I live super close to here anyways. I was just about to go home too. She said, "Oh, okay, sure, that's fine then." I then got in my car and she started to talk. I said, "So how'd you find out?" Some girl texted him saying that they had slept together last night. I then said, "Dang, what's your address, by the way?" She then said something that surprised me. "I can't go home like this. My mom's gonna know that I'm drunk and I'll never be able to go out again." "Well, what do you want to do then?" I don't know. We should go to a park." What park?" I said. She gave me the name and we went there. I parked my car in the parking lot and said, "Well, what are you trying to do now?" She then said, "Shut up, stupid," hushing my lips for me. We made out that night and I dropped her back off and I went home as well. That week in school, I got a Snapchat from Connor. It was during lunch and I clicked on it. I saw the 5 words that couldn't make me happier. "I know what you did." I replied with, What did I do now?" He said, "You hooked up with Liz." I left him on open and I went about my day. I then saw him in the parking lot after school near my car. He came up to me and screamed in my face, "So, you think you can just take my girl without me doing anything?" I laughed right in his face and said, "Well, she isn't with you anymore now, is she?" He then yelled, "Well, you think you're just going to go about your day or something?" I said laughing, "Yeah, I was actually planning on going to Liz's house after school." He then jumped on top of me, pinning me to the ground, sacking me in the jaw multiple times. I tried throwing some back, but he had my hands pinned to my side. He got up and said, "If you see her again, you won't be getting up." I got up with my nose bleeding, and I got into my car and I went home. That was 2 years ago, and boy have I got my revenge. Let me start by saying that I have no regrets about what I did. Everything I had done was for my satisfaction. You see, I don't care whose life I ruin, as long as I get something out of it. Connor graduated high school with not much going for him. He had a job at a car dealership as a mechanic or something like that, and he never went to college. I never went to college, so I won't judge, but I had other plans after high school. I wanted to ruin Connor's life, and never stopped until I completed that process. It started with pretty small things like when I tried ruining his relationship back in high school. He was always mean, and who better to mess with than a worthless piece of crap like Connor? I messaged him a couple months ago saying, "Hey old friend, remember me?" He replied with, "Yeah, the kid I beat the crap out of. I remember you." I knew he would say something like this, so I sent him a picture of myself and his sister that I photoshopped to look as if we were together. He replied with, "What are you doing with my sister? She doesn't date weirdos like you." I replied with, "Oh, well, it looks like her type changed." I was just sitting on my computer laughing my butt off from how gullible this kid was. He then messaged his sister Claire, which I thought he would do. "Are you dating a kid named Alex?" I had hacked into her phone, which was pretty easy, because I sent her an email that looked like a woman's clothing company that I knew she had interest in because of her Facebook. She clicked and downloaded it onto her phone, which would send anything that was on her phone to me directly. I override it and replied to her saying, "Yeah, me and him just started talking." Everything that was being sent right now would delete as soon as I exited the software. I then texted him saying, "Claire is one beautiful woman. Kind of reminds me of Liz." He then said, "You're a real dick, you know." I said, "Oh yeah, the one who beats the crap out of his girlfriend in high school, right? I'm the dick." I then said, "Hey, how's life going for you, washing people's cars?" He replied with, "And go do something better with your time." I ended the conversation with, "Okay, bud, I'll let you know how she is in bed." Now, this was just the first thing I would do to mess with Connor's life. A couple Google searches for his name and I now had his address. He was still living with his parents at the time. I then went ahead and waited for him to get work done to order a couple of pizzas to his house and make him pay for them. By a couple I mean by ordering 20 pizzas, all with extra toppings. That was definitely a pricey delivery. A total of $300 if you want to round up. I called and said that I would pay in cash and that my name was Connor. I gave the lady on the phone his address and it was as easy as that. You might be asking why I care so much to mess with someone's life. It's easy. I get joy out of it. I see these were the baby steps to ruin someone's life. My next attempt would be going to a personal level. Connor had a laptop at home and I went ahead and hacked it. It was easy knowing how stupid he was. He would fall for anything. So I sent him an email that led to a link that would automatically download a movie. He would run the download, and then I would have access to everything on his computer. Everything. I had every username and password of every website that he used, including bank accounts, emails, video games, documents, social media, and much more. I could also see what he was doing on his webcam, which he never turned off. He also had a new girlfriend at the time, and her name was Jessica, or Jess for short. I planned on ruining their relationship too. One night, I logged into one of his bank accounts to see what his balance was. It was $1,243.50. So, I went ahead and I requested a withdrawal to a website that would transfer it into Bitcoin. I requested $500 to see if it would work without causing any attention. The transfer went through and I now had $500 in Bitcoin. I went ahead and I logged out and disconnected my VPN. I also knew Connor's social because he had everything saved on his laptop like his passport, birth certificate, and social security. The next morning, I drove over to his house, waiting for him to leave for the morning. I watched him get into his car from a street over and pull out of his driveway. He then sped off to the local bank. I proceeded to follow. I guess he found out $500 had been withdrawn from his account. After he was done at the bank, he drove to Dunkin' Donuts. I then thought of an idea while he was inside. I got out of my car in the same parking lot, and I went over to his car and I took my pocket knife out. I flipped it open and I sliced his back tire open. I quickly got back into my car, which was parked on the other side of the parking lot, and I waited for him to come out. He was pretty mad. I could tell because he just stood there and looked around, trying to find the person who had done it. I sat in my car looking at him, just snickering to myself. I was getting so much joy from watching him in anger. He took his phone out and he called someone. He got back in his car and just sat there. I then saw another car pull in the parking lot about 15 minutes later. It was Jess. She pulled in and parked next to Connor's car. He got out and sat in the front seat of Jessica's car. I could care less now to watch, so I went out the back entrance and I went home. I went onto my computer when I got home to open the software to view Connor's laptop. I had a feeling that the bank would have told him to look for spyware in his computer when he got home, so I made sure to get on before he could. I went ahead and I deleted every traceable script that was linking the laptop to the rat. I had scripted another code to perform as a startup manager, which looked like Windows software. It wouldn't be picked up by antivirus, so I just copied the rat onto my new script and loaded onto his laptop remotely. I then went ahead and logged back onto his bank account, and it was frozen. I wasn't surprised. I thought that they would have done something like this. I had a backup plan though. I went ahead and I logged into his iCloud with his username and password, which was conveniently saved from Google. I searched for "Where's my iPhone?" and found where Connor was. I saw that he was at some apartment complex not far from me, so I left my house and I went there. It was dark out at this point and he was inside at Jessica's apartment. I parked my car and I got out to search for his car. I took my jacket with me and wrapped it around my hand. I found his crappy old Honda just sitting there with the pop tire still. I took my knife, which had a glass breaker, and put it right against his window. It then cracked, and I hit that window as hard as I could with my hand wrapped in my jacket. It broke and glass went everywhere. His car alarm was going off at this point, so I had to do what I had to do very fast. I looked inside his glove compartment and found his registration and insurance papers. I stuffed them in my pockets and I looked through the center console. I found his wallet and a couple of condoms. I took his wallet and I got the heck out of there. I sped out of the apartment complex and went back home fast, hoping that no cops would see me. I got back inside my house and looked inside Connor's wallet. It had about $40 in cash and a little baggie of weed. There were credit cards in there as well. I had a perfect idea. I went onto a proxy and I searched for the same Bitcoin website that I had recently been on. I went ahead and bought approximately $4,500 worth in Bitcoin from every single credit card Connor had. I knew that this would destroy his credit score. I knew he wouldn't be able to get an apartment with bad credit, but he was still living with his mom anyways. I now had extra resources to destroy Connor's life. I knew that Connor wouldn't be able to fix that broken window, and most definitely wouldn't be able to drive to work now because of all his papers to legally drive were now in my possession, including his driver's license. He had no money. I needed to move on to the next step to remove Jess from the equation. I need to find a flaw in the relationship or something to exploit. I went ahead and I completed my research on Jessica. And before I go on, I need to mention that Connor had now pulled the police into this. The bank and the police were now going to try and find out who had been messing with him. They won't be able to find a link between the two. I know this for sure. Although knowing the police are involved in this just made the game more fun. I like the attention that I'm causing. Let me get back to what I had found on Jessica. What do you know? She was messing with another dude. How do I know this, you might ask? Well, I went ahead and I looked around her Facebook and Instagram followers, looking at mostly male followers. I ran a program that looked through her direct messages and found an account of another guy in the area. It looks like they went to the same high school. I looked through the messages and they were all flirts back and forth, and she finally told him to message her on Snapchat. I unfortunately do not have access at this moment to look into her Snapchat messages, but this is enough for now. I went ahead and I took some screenshots of the messages and spoofed a text message to her saying, "Looks like you got a little problem here, don't you?" attaching the screenshots. She replied saying, "Who are you? What do you want?" I simply replied back with, "Oh, nothing much. Just pick who you want to keep. Connor's a dick anyway." She replied, "You have no business in this. How did you even get into my messages?" I then said, "Don't worry about it, Jess. Just tell Connor you guys aren't working out anymore, and you won't hear from me again." A simple blackmail is all it took. I guess he wasn't really worth it. Never knew how to treat a woman right anyways. Now that Jess was out of the equation, I could go ahead and proceed with ruining his life. I went ahead and I called into his work. A lady picked up. "Hello, this is Lisa speaking. How may I help you?" I went ahead and said, Yes, I recently had my car worked on here and I would like to make a complaint against one of your workers." She replied with, "Okay, sir, and do you know the name of the employee?" I said, "Yes, I do. Connor." I saw a scratch on the back of my car which looked like a key or something, and it pulled the paint off. I saw this as soon as I got home from getting my car maintained on. She said, "Okay, sir, I will go ahead and mark down your complaint and we will handle it accordingly. If you would like, you could come back so we can get more info from you and we could have someone take a look at the damage." I said, "No, that wouldn't be necessary, after what you guys have done already. Thanks." I then hung up the phone. I know that this will most definitely get him fired. I called him a couple of days after this with a masked voice from a software that could change my voice. He picked up and I said, "How's life been?" "Pretty crappy, let me guess." He replied with, "Can I ask who the heck is calling? And why do you care how my life's been?" I said, "Maybe this would help.
You missing that to 4,500? Life's a bitch, isn't it?
He said. You're going to be arrested for stealing that money. The police are looking into it. I said.
Oh, Connor, I already know that. I'm 3 steps ahead of them already. I mean, I guess Jess doesn't want to date poor guys, huh?
He said. How do you even know me? What do you want from me? I said.
Connor, go outside, there's a package for you and maybe a couple of your answers will be in there.
I hung up. Before calling him, I made sure that a package with nothing except a USB was in there. It was meant to be plugged in, and it would be erased within 1 hour of opening the contents. The contents were a text file with the title of readme.txt. It wasn't a virus or anything, it was just a document meant to be read. Once opened, it would have a paragraph saying, Hello Connor. The man that you were just speaking with knows everything about you, and will not hurt you. You are playing the game of life, it's simple. You are a pawn in my game. I pick and choose what you do and how you do it. You may not see it, but everything that has been going on in your life the last couple of months has been of my choosing. I've been in the process of taking little bits of your life away, one by one. You see, it all started back in high school when I took your little girlfriend away. I made her think that you cheated on her. Easy. My next step would be to take away all of your money. Poof, just like magic, all gone. Your credit is down the drain. The second step was to take away your transportation. No way to drive without any money. The broken window doesn't help either. Or maybe no driver's license. I then took your love life away. Jessica is no longer in your life. Well, maybe you might just go back to work to make more money. Wrong, you see. You no longer have a job. Don't bother going in tomorrow because there's a report of you damaging a customer's car. You may be reading this pretty upset because you have no way of fighting back. Well, that's where I come in. I will give you a chance. In order to stop playing my game, I will send you an address and all you have to do is show up. Sounds easy? I hope so for your sake. P.S. If you bring the police, the game ends differently. Not in your favor. I was almost finished with Connor. I needed to do one more thing before I sent him the address. I was never going to let him have an easy way out, no. I planned to make him go to a park that was at least an hour out of the direction. This would be a diversion away from his house so I could carry out my plan. I had recently bought with Connor's money from the 4,500 that I converted into Bitcoin, approximately 4 kilos of crack cocaine. It would ship domestically so it wouldn't be searched by customs. I then planned on having it shipped to a nearby drop zone, which was an abandoned factory outside of town. I then would take this and put it into a backpack without putting my fingerprints on it. I then also would have a USB that would boot up into the dark web, which had all of Connor's personal info like it was his. I also made the password his most commonly used password for the USB. This would link back directly to Connor's local IP address, which I had set onto the USB. I also remotely bought the drugs with Connor's laptop. My plan here would be to send in an anonymous tip from a payphone to the local police station that there was a large package of crack cocaine shipped to Connor's address. I also planted a baggie of weed which had Connor's fingerprints on them in the back porch of his house. This would give the police probable cause to search the house for drugs. I would assume that they would have already brought a warrant, but just in case, I had done that for precautionary reasons. This would all happen tonight. This is when I would successfully ruin Connor's life. I would send him to prison for years. He would be sentenced with multiple felonies of drug possession and intent to sell. The large quantity that he would be possessing would give him no parole either. I had the vendor on the dark web pack baggies of grams pre-bagged, and one large quantity as well. This would give him the charge of intent to sell as well. The investigation would come down to that he purchased them from his laptop with his credit cards. Nothing would be traced back to me. I made sure of this because I had corrupted all of my hard drives back at home by microwaving them. There was no personal connection to Connor with me, so I wouldn't be looked into. I was just a kid from his high school with 1,000 other students. I had no connection to anyone in his family either. I went ahead and I sent him the name of the park through a random phone number that I had generated and said, "Connor, you have 90 minutes to be here, or the game continues." I was outside his house a street over waiting for him to leave. I saw him leave, which was around 12:30 a.m., and everyone was asleep in his house. I set a timer on my phone for an hour, which was my time to plant everything and get out before Connor was home. I then went to his back porch and planted the baggie of weed at his bedroom window. He was stupid enough to leave his window open, and I opened it and I went inside his room. I had gloves on at this point before I left my car. I dropped the backpack inside his closet and plugged in the USB that I prepared into his laptop, which was sitting at his desk. I then left through his window, locking it before stepping out. I made sure the weed was sitting nicely on the outside of his window. I then walked back to my car. I checked the timer on my phone and it was at 35 minutes. I knew he would be at the park before the timer was up. I went to a closed parking lot that I had scoped out before planting the evidence, which had a payphone. I called it and said, 392 Street. There are a large number of drugs which are owned by Connor. I'm sending this tip in and I would like to keep it anonymous for my safety. I hung up and I left the parking lot immediately. On my way back home, I got a text from Connor replying with, "I'm here. What do you want me to do to end this stupid game?" I replied with, "It's easy. Take your phone and throw it into the lake. You will receive your money back after this last task is done." He said, "How do I know you're going to follow through on your end?" I said, "If you don't do it, you don't get your money. You are a player of my game, remember. You follow my rules and you can win." I then sent another message saying, "Tomorrow, check the balance of your bank, and all the money will be back where it rightfully belongs. Goodbye now." This would be the last step in covering up everything that I had messaged him. He was just playing every card I told him without even knowing. I then called the phone 5 minutes later to see if it connected me through. I called and it said, "The phone number you've dialed is no longer in service. Please call back later." My plan was now complete, and Connor will be arrested within the hour. I got home and I went to sleep without a problem. I woke up the next morning and I turned the news on. The headline was, "Breaking news. Man in local county was arrested last night for drug trafficking." This was music to my ears, hearing the lady speak about the details of the arrest and hearing her say Connor's name. She said that he was like some criminal, and boy did I love that. I looked up the details of the arrest on Google and clicked on the first link. Connor redacted, arrested last night for drug trafficking. I saw his mugshot and it said under it that he could be sentenced up to 25 years and up to $20,000 in fines for intent to sell crack cocaine. This was the end of Connor's free life. He was now a convicted felon and would never have his original life back. My game was now completed, and he was the pawn to complete it.